Hey everyone, so it's Shanice here. I promise I am making more videos. I did make some other ones, but my hair was a mess and I got self-conscious, so I got rid of them. So if there is anything from the past 2 months, which it will be tomorrow, that I want anyone to get a takeaway from, that is that you need to have a conversation. Just ask yourself, who's the person you're closest to? Is that your spouse? Is that your baby mom? Is that your kid, your adult child, or is that your parent? Or even if it's a very good friend, and say, what happens when I die? And I'm not talking about the metaphysical, I'm not talking about the spiritual ways of doing that. Those are all awesome conversations, but I'm talking about what I've experienced, which is administrative death. Because one way or another, when you die, there is going to be someone who has to deal with all of your stuff. And I mean, I think we all have this visual that when you die, you just magically inherit everything and you become a millionaire and you just have to, it just all magically happens. I am proof to you today that that is not how it works at all. Uh, so the Eagles are currently losing right now. So hopefully, while halftime they get it together, I'm going to just go through a little scenario. So I'm going to have my imaginary friend here, and you'll just have to bear with me. Okay, so what do you want to happen when you die? What do you want to have to happen to your body? Oh, well, I want to be buried, and I want to make sure that there is no cremation and that there are 6 people carrying my casket. I want to have a beautiful casket, and I want to be buried in a national cemetery. And when I'm in that cemetery, make sure that you find my grandfather's old rifle, the one that he passed down through generations, and blah, blah, blah. Make sure all of that is there. Okay, well, can you write this down? No. All right, I'll see what I can do. People don't really think about any of these scenarios until they actually happen. If you don't know what your funeral looks like right now, then you're probably already behind the curve. Tim and I always had these conversations, which is what made it a lot more helpful when the time did come. It's not to say that I enjoyed planning his funeral. I mean, I like planning stuff, but that was probably not one of my top 5. And it's not to say that you can always plan ahead. But the reality is that you will die someday. And what order we all die in, it doesn't matter. You're going to leave it to someone who is living to have that responsibility. So if you take anything away from this, it's that one, funerals, living, and dealing with your estate, anything that you've left behind, cost money. And here's the plot twist, sometimes it's a lot. Funerals are not cheap. Even to just cremate someone and get all sorts of benefits, military benefits, they help pay for burial, it's still about $5,000. You don't even want to know what a casket cost. I looked at one and it was like buying a Rolls Royce. Like you could buy an actual car for the price of a casket. And that's just the casket alone. Think about all the other things. I would ask myself the question, if I were marooned on an island, right? If you're not comfortable thinking about dying, if I were marooned on an island and I could never talk to anyone ever again, what would I want them to know? What do they need to know? That's things like passwords. That's things like what do you want done with your things? What do you how do you want to be buried? I mean, if you're marooned, you don't get buried, but how would people handle your things in your life when they're gone? And more importantly, while you're living, you can think about how you can help and take care of those people when you're gone. I've been in a lot of widow support groups, and it's actually astounding the amount of widows who end up losing their spouse, and because their name was on a mortgage with someone else, they end up losing the house or losing everything that they own financially because they don't have income or they're hemmed up in what I've been telling you guys is called administrative death. Um, so start there. We'll talk about this more in other videos. But for now, again, go Birds, and hopefully they've won this game by the time I post this. And just have the conversation. Just go get a glass of wine, glass of water, glass of air, glass of spirit, of the fruit. I don't care. Just have the conversation. And if you don't have a spouse, that's okay. Figure out who your next of kin is and have that talk with them. All right. Talk to you later.